have what
No.
we want,
Okay,
and
it's
this is
mine.
what we get.
Yeah, here. Wow, is that from a movie?
No, I didn't make it up. Story of my life.
Exactly.
I'm so
Me too.
glad. Because it's already a bargain. If I wanted it, I'm still mad that it wasn't. And I'd sell it to you for $4.25.
Everybody ready? Oh, where's later?
Maybe it's right here.
Well, good evening. I call the City Council meeting to order for February 4th, 2025. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, everybody. Hope that's good to see everybody here, and let's go ahead and move right into Mayor's Emerging Issues and Report. Bill, you have it up and running? Okay, we've got my State of the City address that's coming up next Thursday. Boy, that's coming up real fast. And that's going to be at the Performing Arts and Events Center. Doors will open at about 5:30. Pam tells me, my executive assistant tells me, we've got over 60 tables that are already reserved, I think 62 tables, between city departments, other local governments, nonprofits in our community. And we may have one or two spots left, but if you're interested, reach out to Pam and we'll see if we can carve out any space for you. But anyway, State of the City address, Performing Arts and Events Center next Thursday. The theme is I Heart Federal Way. I'll explain it then. It's the day before Valentine's Day, and the rest you could probably figure out. So it's going to be a good time. And then we'll do doors open at 5:30. We'll start at about 6, and then the booths and all that will be available afterwards, and there'll be all kinds of surprises. Okay, next we've got our annual City Council annual retreat. That's Saturday, February 22nd at Dumas Bay Center. Doors open at 7:30. Nice hot breakfast, and I do think, Susan, they're going to have bacon and all the fixins. So come on down and get a good breakfast. Listen to the council talk about and senior staff and myself really think and vision about the future of our community. And there are all kinds of really interesting things we're going to be talking about. The council, I think, has put together a very good document, an agenda, to really think about some key issues moving forward and strategic decisions that need to be made moving forward. Okay, they say if you don't make the decisions, they get made for you. So we're going to be really working toward that. It's going to be a good discussion. Okay, recent community events. Picture to the far left is the chief and I went to the Westridge HOA at Silver Lake Elementary School on January 27th. That was last Monday. Really good discussion. That is the first and only HOA, to my understanding, that is paid for and installed with our coordination and facilitation, flock camera systems. And that's a big deal. This is the heart of the Westridge is off of 320th to the south, where 11th is, in and around the Silver Lake Elementary School, and where the John Connor Park is. So that's going to be a really good, that was a good opportunity to listen to the residents and hear about their concerns. Chief did a great job. Thank you very much, Chief. And all right, so then we had, at the suggestion and guidance of Vivian Alexander, thank you, Vivian, I toured the Auburn Homeless Shelter facilities. I met with the mayor and several of their key staff members, and really just listen to what, there was a really good article that was in the Mirror probably back last fall talking about the differences between Federal Way and Auburn, and talked about what the name of the article was, A Tale of Two Cities. And at Vivian's suggestion, and Vivian was there too, we met with the mayor and her key staff, and then we took a tour of the facilities. I tell you what I was really struck by is that their day center and their overnight shelter didn't have one scrap of paper in the parking lot. There was no one milling around. It was all about accountability. I have to tell you, it was really a very important meeting and good discussion about how they're handling things. And I think it's always important to learn from your neighbors and people who do things right. It looks like Auburn in this manner is doing a lot right. And I met the next day. I met with our human services staff, and there's an individual named Kent Hay at the city of Auburn that gave us the tour, and we were talking with. And it's really about compassion and making sure that you're providing resources, but the heart of it is accountability and what that looks like. So I want to let you know it was a good discussion, and a big thanks to Vivian. John Wolf, the Northwest Seaport Alliance CEO, spoke at Pete's Good Eggs Breakfast, and he's been doing this for years and years. You could see the mayor of Auburn, Algona. I think it's the vice chair of the Muckleshoot Tribe, mayor of Auburn, mayor of Edgewood, and then John's to the far right there. Really good discussion about, obviously we have the Port of Seattle and we've got the Port of Tacoma. The Northwest Seaport Alliance is really a conglomeration of those two working together to figure out how can they work together. It's really one of the only alliances like this in the United States, because when most people think of this area, they think of Seattle, and really this is about leveraging partnerships in the region and understanding world commerce and how it all sort of fits together. It was a really interesting discussion about things that are happening in the port, how many jobs are connected to the port, how much our economy is driven by it, and what then gets on rail, and really a very interesting conversation. And thanks to Pete for facilitating that and bringing all those folks together. We had a flag ceremony in honor of Roger Flygare on January 30th. For those who had not heard, a true friend of Federal Way and a friend of mine and many on this dais, Roger Flygare, passed away last week, a week ago yesterday, and the ceremony there was a remembrance, as there are only two individuals who can authorize the lowering of the United States flag. That's the president and the governor. And so what we decided to do instead of lowering a flag is raising the flag at the Veterans Monument there right by the Performing Arts and Events Center. And then his wife Carla, their son Roger and his family and the grandchildren along with the VFW. We gave the VFW 12 hours notice, if that. And they showed up in force and were absolutely just truly friends. And, Roger was a veteran of the Vietnam War. He had been a post commander for the local VFW, and many of the individuals had, in fact, actually, VFW post from Kent, Auburn, and Federal Way were there, and it was very solemn. I know that Carla, Roger's wife, truly appreciated it. And in fact, actually, before we started this meeting, a representative, Councilmember Assefa Dawson, sorry, I'm thinking of the future. Councilmember Assefa Dawson suggested a moment of silence, not just for our friend Roger Flygare, but Cheryl Hurst's husband, John, passed away unexpectedly last Thursday, and just really a tragedy that Cheryl, who had done the diaper drives for all those years, and really, a recipient of the Key of the City, and all of the things that she had done. She and John were in the middle of building their dream house out in Idaho in the Montana area, and they were getting all that done. and then John just unexpectedly passed away. So could we have a moment of silence here to honor both Roger Flygare and John? All right, thank you.
Mayor Rogers' son is Aaron Flygar.
That's right, Aaron. That's right. And he was our city lobbyist for a time. And Aaron really, Aaron grew up in this area, and Roger had deep, deep roots in this community and had done a lot. In fact, part of the reason, one of the key reasons why we were at that location is he was, along with Councilmember Honda, were on the Veterans Advisory Group that I had impaneled, and he was very instrumental in helping to select that location, present at that, and who provided the funds for that memorial, or for that location, for that pole, and all the veterans monuments. It was our King County Councilman Pete von Reichbauer, who has known the family for 4 or 5 decades. And anyway, it does just go to show you that you have to appreciate every day, and especially the people that we love and we care and that are around us. So, thank you. Okay, let's see here. Upcoming community events. Oh, I'm sorry. Could we go back one? The next day, on last Saturday, we were at Marine View Community Presentation featuring Pete, King County Councilman Pete von Reichbauer. That was on February 1st. That's over there at Marine View Presbyterian Church. It's a great group over there, and they put Pete through his paces, asked a lot of good questions about what's going on at King County, and as you can see, we're all responding to questions he was asking. Okay, next. Thank you, Bill. Okay, City Hall is closed for President's Day on Monday, February 17th. We have a styrofoam, plastic, and document shredding event at Poverty Bay Coffee, Saturday, February 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2. And save the date, 2025 March of Diapers Drive, still going on. One of the things that Cheryl did before she left and went to her retirement over there. I mean, she's been back and has showed up at the market and that kind of thing. But the diaper drive is something we're going to see continue for the infrastructure that she left behind. And that's going to be Saturday, March 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2 at Fred Meyer Twin Lakes. And I think that may be the same day as I think the council has a coffee that day.
It is.
And we'll do the picture. We'll facilitate that. We'll just start early, get the picture at this, and then make sure you guys are not late for your coffee. We'll make sure that both can occur. Okay, let's go next. Oh, so that's what it is right there. Coffee and Conversations featuring the Federal Way City Council and the school board. Saturday, March 22nd, 10 a.m. to noon, Ebony and Ivory Cafe. And in fact, actually, our council president, Councilmember Honda, have been meeting regularly with the school board. Anything you'd like to say to preview this event? Maybe start with.
No, it's a good thing for you to come and talk to the school board about any concerns you have with what's going on in the school district. You come here for our open council meeting, but a lot of people don't know where the school board meetings are, so it's a good time for people to come and actually meet with our school board.
That's right.
Well, we were talking about what kind of questions people might ask at our coffee, and we're open to any and all questions that aren't really that suitable to getting an answer if you're talking here, for 2 or 3 minutes. So please come and ask questions. And we did get the school district's legislative priorities, which we have a copy and we can share with all of council because they would like us to talk to our representatives about their legislative priorities, and they will do the same for us.
That's great.
So I do have a copy that I can share with you all.
Oh, great. Okay. And if anybody's interested in that, you just reach out to the city council. Amy's in the back and is here every day. Or you can just reach out to my office and either Pam or Susan can help you out as well. Or Bill. Okay, next. We had the cold weather shelter update. I want to let you know, just that Fusion has done a phenomenal job. This organization, Fusion, has literally saved lives. They have brought people in the bitter cold at the at the Pete Anderson facility right there next to the next to grocery outlet and the post office area there, right next to Shag Housing. And they have been, some nights, they've had more than 20 people there and have reached near capacity. 24 is about where they've hit capacity. We're ready in case that happens with hotel vouchers. But, you know, one of the things that we just absolutely must do is when it gets dangerously cold, look, it'll be below freezing tonight. And when snow hits the ground and when it gets below freezing, we need to make sure that we've got places for people to go. And that is, I told David Hoffman, the executive director of Fusion, that their organization has literally saved lives in this community, and we're in his debt as this community. So I know our human services people have been coordinating, and we get an update every morning after that shelter is open from Layla, our human services staffer coordinator, that lets us know how many people were there the night before. So if you have any questions about those numbers and about what that looks like, just let us know. And that is going to be ongoing. Okay, now we've had recognition of outstanding youth. Councilmember Asefa Dawson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for recognizing the people that we have lost who've been pillars and great people in our community. But I also wanted to acknowledge a student here. We have the Youth Commission, and our youth are brilliant. And one of the things Paul is good at asking them is, what book do you recommend? Is that what you say? What book what's your favorite book? And each time, what the students say is just incredible. I think when I was their age, I don't know what I was reading, but so among those, we have a youth here who's on our Youth Commission. I don't remember her title, but she can tell us. So it's Sienna Mayo, and she's a senior at Decatur High School. And then, of course, she's on our commission. And she's a key club president, participates in DECA, and was tennis varsity captain last year. The reason I really wanted her here today was she did a study on medical mistrust in Black adolescents in partnership with the UW Medicine Office of Healthcare Equity. And she also worked with local Federal Way public school students to do this research. And it's huge at her age. Again, you know, I'll go back to you being youth and still in high school, doing your research and coming up with a valid data and information for our communities, not just Federal Way. And this is something that's real for Black adolescents and Black families in general. So I really wanted to acknowledge your work and also for you to share with us what you did. So thank you for being here, first of all.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I can obviously explain what I did. So it was part of my AP research study. So it's part of a track for the AP where you have to take AP seminar, and then once you pass that and you you have to pass the exam as well, you can take AP research. And for that, you have to create a research study. It can be of anything of your choosing. It doesn't necessarily have to be like I did. And I just chose to do something that I felt like I really cared about, that I felt like I could do. Feasibly, I wanted to do something that go a little bit beyond what is usually expected for that class, where you can choose something that's very simple, like the frequency, relations between very school-related stuff, between I know a friend did something regarding the efficiency of how we have our new fast pass system and all that, and if it really benefits that. I just chose my subject just because I felt like it was something that I could actually care about, you know. So for my project, I chose to study how and when does medical mistrust form in Black adolescents, with the understanding that medical mistrust is prevalent in the African American community. I chose this because there's a distinct lack of research in this subject. I also like psychology. It's something that I got from my dad, who has a degree in psychology. And I just think that was something that I wanted to do with that. And then besides that, I did it in partnership with, I think, 4 schools, although I have to count. So I did it in partnership with Twin Lakes, who allowed me, with parental permission, ask some of their students questions. I also did it with Silver Lake, and I also did it with both Lakota and Sacagawea Middle School, and then just Decatur for my high school subject. I interviewed around 61 children. That's not around enough breadth for it to be something that's publishable right now. But I did it with in concurrence with my mentor, Director Jonathan Cantor of the Office of Healthcare Equity at UW Medicine. I don't really know how I managed to get him to agree to doing that. He just said that he was like feeling like he wanted to, really reach out more, and it worked out well. And right now I have like an article written on me on the UW Medicine website. If you want to go check it out, I think you can just look up my name and then UW Medicine, and I'll probably show up. There's not a lot of people with the last name Mayo, so yeah, that's kind of all I have to say regarding that. If you guys have any questions, I can answer it too.
Well, thank you so much. Are you going to go to UW for college?
I applied there. I don't know if I'll get in though. I also applied to a few other schools. I'd love to go to UW if I get in. I just have to look and weigh all my options with financial aid and stuff as well.
Very good.
What's her?
Councilmember Daniel?
Yeah, so last time we talked, your book was The Mist of Sisyphus, I believe.
Yes, I did say that.
Yeah, is your book I've listened to that one already. Do you have a new book?
Have you ever listened? Listened to The Stranger by Albert Camus? It's another.
I listened to it right after that book.
Yeah. What's another book that I like? Maybe you should read Giovanni's Room. It's by James Baldwin. I think it's a really good book. What else? You could also read.
I'll start with that one, and
Yeah.
I'll hit you up at the Youth Commission. You said, what was it called, Giovanni's?
Giovanni's Room.
Okay.
Or you could read When Beagle Street Could Talk. It's another one by James Baldwin. Pick your choice.
All right, thank you.
I think we've got a future collegiate academic in our midst.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Sienna.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Sienna, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for,
Okay, now we've got the proclamation for Black History Month, February 2025. Councilmember Stephen Dawson.
thank you, and I'd like to invite Diversity Commission Chair Trinice Rogers to come to the podium as I read the proclamation. Black History Month. Whereas the first Black History Month was celebrated in 1926 and serves to acknowledge the fullness of African American history and culture, and whereas during Black History Month, we honor the achievements of African Americans and their role in shaping history along with contributions to enhance the economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development of our country, and whereas the celebration of Black History Month is a positive way of recognizing the culture and history of African Americans as vital to the core beliefs and values of this society, and whereas the Association for the Study of African American Life has selected African Americans and labor for the theme for Black History Month in 2025, and whereas this theme focuses on the various and profound ways that work and working of all kinds, free and unfree, skilled and unskilled, vocational and voluntary, intersect with the collective experiences of Black people. And whereas the City of Federal Way believes in the equality of all people and supports efforts towards a more equitable society and effort to live up to the creed of our nation, that we are all created equal. And whereas equality is not sameness, it is equivalent value. Now, therefore, we, the undersigned mayor and city council members of the City of Federal Way, do hereby proclaim February 2025 as Black History Month and encourage the people of the city to join together to support African American-owned businesses and celebrate the rich history of African Americans. Signed this 4th day of February 2025. Go ahead if you have anything to say.
Thank you again, City of Federal Way, for recognizing Black History Month. I just wanted to share a few amazing, powerful African proverbs that I think is fitting for Black History Month. A person is a person because of other people, meaning community is vital. Until lion tells the story, the hunter will always be the hero, highlighting the importance of hearing diverse perspectives. Only a fool tests the depth of a river with both feet, emphasizing careful decision-making. The strength of the crocodile is in the water, representing power within one's environment. And knowledge is like a garden. If it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. underscoring the value of education. And these are just key points in the Proverbs that really highlights community focus, empowerment and resilience, and critical thinking and wisdom. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right, now we are on to public comment. I'll list a few out, and then if you could cue toward the back. We've got Vivian Alexander, Susan Strong, Jeffrey Tancredi.
Good evening, Mayor Farrell, Council President Kochmar, council members, members of the Federal Way community. My name is Vivian Alexander, and I'm an 8-year resident of Federal Way. I just have a few more things to add. I asked Mayor Farrell when we were out that day in Auburn, could I thank him? And he said, yeah, you can say whatever you want to say. And so I'd like to express my appreciation to Mayor Farrell for acting on a suggestion that I made to learn more about the success of Don's Place. Don's Place is the name of the permanent supportive housing that was opened in Auburn in 2023. Mayor Farrell and I met on 1/16 to have this discussion. He promptly made arrangements for us to meet with Mayor Backus and Kent Hay at Auburn City Hall. There he gained specific information on how to best implement the health through housing model in order for it to be successful. And I would like to stress successful because many of the community members, myself included on this, are concerned about the success of our health through housing property. And it's not just a simple process. There are steps that have to be taken. So Kent Hay then took Mayor Farrell on a tour of the Auburn Resource Center and the Ray of Hope. I watched Mayor Farrell as he took in the environment in which 40 to 50 Auburn community members sleep each night until they move into permanent housing. And so when Mayor Farrell said everything was spotless, well, there's a reason for that, and that is that the people who are there are made to feel like they're part of the community. They're treated with dignity. They have a place to stay. So that's one of the things that, Mayor Farrell wanted to take a look at. How does this place to stay come about? How would the Federal Way support something like that? But I want to emphasize dignity. The people who are there have a lot of services that take place. So they sleep at the Ray of Hope, they eat at the Ray of Hope. I'm pretty familiar with that because my temple and I, temple members have been supporting them for about 2 years. We serve dinner once a month. Anyway, again, the meeting is just the first step, and Mayor Farrell is motivated to continue the collaboration, conversation, and creative thinking that is necessary for success in addressing the homeless crisis in the city of Federal Way. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Susan Strong.
Mayor Farrell, Council President Kochmar, council members. I'm Susan Strong, born and raised in Seattle, moved to Federal Way in 1975. I saw the report recently from the Federal Way Police Department, Special Operations Unit, and the Special Investigations Unit that on January 24th, they conducted a drug emphasis operation in the city's downtown area. That operation resulted in 8 arrests for knowingly using controlled substance in a public place. The operation also resulted in the seizure of more than 100 suspected fentanyl pills and several grams of suspected methamphetamine. It is reported that in 2024, drug arrests were up. I would like to thank Police Chief Wong and Mayor Farrell for placing an emphasis on decreasing illegal drug use in the city of Federal Way. It is my hope that there is an increased emphasis on decreasing illegal drugs in Federal Way. I believe that the citizens are safer and that businesses will do better in the long run by not having to deal with all that goes along with illegal drugs in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Chancredi. And then, as Jeffrey makes his way up, next three are Anna Patrick, Bob Darrigan, and Barbara Kuhn.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council President Kochmar, council members. My heart goes out for the Flygear family and Cheryl's husband. I'm so sorry for their passing. So, Mayor, today I was watching some hearings today about it was about the fentanyl deaths in the United States, and there were some families testifying. Since 2020 in the United States, I think it's averaged 60 to 70,000 and up deaths per year in the United States from fentanyl use. They gave some just unbelievable statistics of how bad it really is. I've never been affected by drugs, but I know a lot of people who know people, and it's definitely a scourge. You see it around town. I'd just like to encourage our state reps, our state representatives in Olympia to craft legislation that can get these individuals in a situation where they can, get into a drug court and give them a choice. We don't want them to go to jail, but they can have the choice of jail or treatment. The sooner they get into the treatment, they can get back and become a productive member of society. Having said that, I'm so glad to see that the current administration is trying to secure the border and actually declaring that some of these drug cartels are terrorist organizations. Because this is really this is going to be a tough job because the drug cartels are not going to go down easy. That's a mega billion-dollar industry, but I'm glad somebody has the guts and the courage to take it on because it's ruining our country and it's causing people to live a much shorter life. So anyway, I'm so glad that maybe there'll be a lot of changes. But anyway, again, I'd like to encourage our state reps in Olympia to, once and for all, come up with something. Fentanyl should be a felony, not a gross misdemeanor. Let's call it what it is, because it is a violation of the Uniform Controlled Substance Act, and VUCSA is a federal statute. So let's not, minimize this. Let's call it what it is. It is a felony, but then let's get these people on the right track and get them into a drug court so they can be, into a situation where they can get treatment and then back into society. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for letting me speak.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Anna Patrick.
Evening, Mayor, Council, and public. I'm here to I'm curious to know if I'm sure you have been monitoring the bills that are being proposed, and I'd like to address my concerns and put it on your radar if it hasn't already been put on your radar. House Bill 1334 House Bill 1380 is proposed basically to make homelessness a protected class, making it harder to enforce laws that address crime and drug use in campus. From what I understand, this bill will make it hard for us to clear camps on public property, and it will create a bureaucracy where there will be multiple lawsuits against cities, and cities that have more money will be able to take that risk. Cities that have less money will have to give in to it. So, that's seems like our lawmakers are making a lot of laws that affect us in a very negative way. Some other laws that I've been really concerned about are the ones where they're wanting to go even softer on gun crimes. They want our judges to be able to release people from jail early. And I don't know if you've been following Stand Up Federal Way's page, but we've been looking at 911 calls. And I think the crime stats that we are presented through NIBRS are just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more crime that goes on in communities than what's being shared with us through crime stats. So, and this is a regional thing. It's not just Federal Way. I can see that it's all of South King County is being impacted by all of this. So all of the gun crimes, it's just unbelievable that our lawmakers would want to go easier on gun crimes. They need to focus on more accountability, this matrix where we get to commit 5 gun crimes before there's any real consequence. That should be their focus, yet they're trying to go easy on gun offenses even more than they already have. So I'm hoping that our city is going to be proactive, staff, or, you guys, and speak to this at some of the comments opportunities, or even write to them, please, and express that concern, because it's going to hurt us in South King County more than any other area. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And actually, Anna, just so you know, nearly every city in South King County, if you just think about every city, signed a letter in opposition to 1380. I was one of the signatories. Auburn, Kent, Renton, Tukwila, every city you can imagine in South King County signed on. In fact, whenever a mayor would find out about it, they signed on to it. Des Moines, all of our neighbors signed on in strong opposition to 1380, which was dropped by a state representative who used to be the mayor of SeaTac. So it is absolutely astonishing. And I provided the copy of that letter to council previously. I explained to our lobbyist, Luke Esser and Jim Hedrick, that this was absolutely top priority, that we need to really dig in on this. And the concern about 1380 is it's got vague language that will set up the city for litigation, potentially. And really, everybody knows about the grants passed. I'm sorry, Bob, I'll be right there, I promise.
You have 3 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow, that was good. Wow, okay.
I can get away with it with you.
Yes, sir. Okay, I think my light's flashing. But anyway, we're working on it. It's on our radar screen. We're going for it. In fact, actually, there is we then sent a letter to our delegation talking about our former state representative and now our council president said when she's down there along with several council members for action days, meeting with our legislators, we really need to condense down our legislative agenda just to, hey, what are your top 3 points? And one of those points was 1380. And so we did just say, hey, we need help on this transportation funding, but and actually even we were anticipating, we had heard rumors. I'm going to wrap up here real quick, Bob. We had heard rumors that this was in the works, but we didn't see any language on it, and it was already part of our legislative agenda that we had passed, and we told the legislators about it. And they're like, oh, we haven't heard anything. So now we let them know, bill number, chapter and verse, this is something we strongly oppose. So with that, were you going to say something, Council President?
I'm just going to explain that both Councilmember Honda and I will be down there February 19th and 20th. It's called Association of Washington Cities Legislative Days, and we do have meetings already set up with some of our representatives, not all 3, but several. And we'll need to meet with you before we go to make sure, what bills are currently being heard in committee.
I'll be there.
They have I have a way of not being nice when I get angry. So I'll probably be saying a few words. Sorry. But I don't care. I'm going to protect you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's all it's all about letting people know, what our expectations are, what our, this is something that there was the Boise decision that was a federal court of appeals decision that got overruled at the United States Supreme Court by the Grants Pass decision out of Oregon. And so this in certain parts, would essentially codify elements of the prior overruled decision of Boise, which was a real wrench in the ability of cities to address street-level homeless activity on sidewalks and parks and public rights-of-way. So that's something that we're very concerned about. So thank you very much. Bob Darrigan.
Well, Mayor Farrell, thank you.
Yes.
Councilman Linda Kochmeyer, and council members. 2 Sundays ago, I got a phone call from Roger Flygar. He's a fellow Lion, and he was going to attend our kickoff meeting for our car show that's going to come up. And he sounded just terrible. He said, Bob, I think I have pneumonia. He's been really struggling over the year. I don't know if you know that. But anyway, he said, well, I said, the car show is going to be August 23rd. And I'll do what I can to get there, Bob. I'll do what I can to get there, Bob. It's the kind of guy he is. But I want to honor him tonight and poetically as an offering to the council and to our city and this wonderful man. And we've made a decision that we're going to have a new award in our car show called the Roger Flygar Memorial Award. By the way, I'm looking for a sponsor on that. Talk to me about the money. It's called Ever-Loving Seed. As each crystal teardrop falls from the sky and kisses God's green earth, we celebrate our community activist, Roger Flygar, thankful he was given birth. Blessings and honor our hearts offer today for the soldier who stood his ground, all for family, country, and freedom, a sacrifice, the sweetest sound. A rare gem of a man who was an offering to others in need, gave all he was to uplift the human spirit and plant an ever-loving seed. A lion's share dream of goodness that is written on each person's heart. For to give is to live. We knew that from the start. Our minds have a deep, strong sense of sadness, for his service here has come to an end. And praise God for a life well lived, and proud and privileged to call him friend. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Barbara Kuhn.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to say good evening to Mayor Farrell, President Kochmar, City Council members, and kind of stole my thunder about 1380. But I wanted to make the point that it is retroactive. So if somebody decides to sue, presumably these are collective lawsuits, you can sue going back in time. So I don't know what kind of laws Federal Way has had about sitting, sleeping, lying, and so on. But if somebody wants to sue, I know there's the example of Portland. On the first day their bill was signed in Oregon, this state similar law, they had to settle with a lawsuit that had been filed. Cost them $147,000 to settle. So we're opening ourselves to all kinds of lawsuits. As you said, with the vague language, objectively reasonable regulation of the utilization of public property. What exactly does that mean? It could mean just about anything you want it to. So I'm encouraged to hear that you're going to go and you're going to talk to these people because they've already passed it into executive committee. And I think they really, really want to pass that 1380, and I really, really don't want them to. You know, we had an example of that you had gone to the Auburn Service Center, Ray of Hope. That sounds like a better option to me than, you know, having people lying all over the streets, the public sidewalks, and doing drugs in public. But that's what it's going to put us back to. And I'm so sorry to hear that, you know. By the way, I want to thank you all. A couple months ago, I mentioned that at 320th and Military Road, close to where I live, there was a huge homeless encampment. It was on county property, wasn't getting cleaned up after years of people bugging the county. It finally got cleaned up. So thank you to all of you who helped with that. And I really appreciate your help with all this and with 1380, and I just want to encourage you to keep fighting the good fight. So thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. We're lucky to have a great advocate at King County and Pete von Reichbauer, and I know the chief was in communication with the sheriff as well, and we just kept knocking on that door, and we've got other locations that are just over the border where we're dealing with the sheriff's office, but those frequent communications and relationships help, so thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Ken Blevins.
Mayor, council, thanks for taking my my comments, and it's a very it's been a really sad week. You know, losing some real icons in our area, and just John moving over to Idaho was already a loss as it was with his wife Cheryl, and he was just full of life, looking forward to the future, and not here though. They moved away from here, and that's kind of sad because they really love this place as well. But looks like we're going to just go back into the dumps because of our state legislatures, Christine Reeves and Claire Wilson. They're just the worst bills you've ever seen. Like they have a mandate to just make our lives miserable. I just don't think it's right that what they're doing. I think we're going in the right direction. Even the Supreme Court just said, you know, this is inhumane, really, to allow people to camp wherever they want, because they realize this is a drug issue. This isn't a homeless issue. It's a drug issue. We're just not answering the call to what's going on. This health through housing is not health through housing. Ask anybody who's ever worked in that space. People don't want to be there. It's not good in most places, especially up in Seattle. There's deaths. People are dying because they don't actually address what's really wrong with these people, and just put them in a treatment and throw them back on the street doesn't work either. Keeping these people, but committed to addiction as taking care of that first, and mental health and that kind of thing. We know, everybody knows that this is the way to go. This is all just patchwork, but it's really about money. Who's making money off of this? It's all these facilities that they take them in, they put them out. They take them in, they put them out, and we're really not. We're dying. These people are dying over and over again. And so, thank God, like Jeffrey was saying, that thank God for Trump. He's the one that actually has the balls to do something about it. And our city, I think that we just are allowed to do something here. We've shown that we can do it. The police chief's just doing an awesome job. Just give him the ability to do it. And all of our police officers, they have so much compassion. They want to do something out there for these people. They don't want to arrest them and throw them in jail. They want to arrest them and help them, if possible. Not put them in jail, to put them into treatment. Get them accountable, like the mayor said. Accountability is the biggest thing for these people. But you ask them if they want help, and they do want help. They don't trust. They don't trust that we're really going to help them. You're just going to put them somewhere. That's not help. So thanks for everybody's comments. And can we do maybe a resolution that I don't have to follow Bob next time? So he's good.
All those in favor? Exactly. All right. I'll take care of that, Ken. All right. All right. That's the last. Does anybody else want to address the council? That's the last pink sheet I have. Is there anybody online? Okay, all right. Well, thank you. Hearing from the public is the most important part of the meeting every time we get together, so thank you very much. We work for you. All right, item 6, these are council committee and regional committee reports. I'll call on the chairs of these committees. We've got the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee. Councilmember Walsh.
Yes, first off, our committee will be meeting a week from today on February 11th, right here. More importantly, I would like to mention something that the mayor and others have mentioned about the passing of John Hurst. I think a lot of us know how much Cheryl has done in the community with the diaper drive and with so many other things. And John was a silent force behind her. He was helping her, supporting her all the way. And a friend of mine who's a very dear friend of Cheryl's gave me an idea of how we could honor them with the diaper drive coming up, making a contribution to the diaper drive in John's name. And I think that would be a very fitting way to honor him and the great work that he's done. So anyway, thank you.
We'll take care of that. Bill, let's talk about that tomorrow and get with Steve Crow. Thank you. All right. Now, Land Use Transportation Committee, Councilmember Adobe.
Yeah, first of all, we had our meeting last night for the month of February, and our next meeting will be March 3rd in the council chambers. You'll see on our agenda tonight some of the things that have come through land use on speeding up permitting and the likes based on state law and trying to make things simpler. And last night we talked about some telecommunication easements and got a report on what we're doing. So land use is kind of the backbone of the city, and it'd be great if anybody ever wants to come and see what you do with streets and curbs and gutters and sewers and all those fun things that keep the infrastructure going. Thank you.
You know, it reminds me of what former Mayor Michael Park and used to say, is that a lot of, if not most of the heavy lifting that council does is done at the committee level. So I would encourage people to keep an eye and or attend a committee meeting. So thank you for the work that's being done in the committees. The FedRec Chair, Finance, Economic Development, and Regional Affairs Committee, Councilmember Tran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So our committee met on the 28th, just last Tuesday, and we approved 6 items on the consent agenda, item B through G. And the committee decided to move one item, which was the 2025 federal legislative priorities, to the February 18 business agenda for further discussion. And our next meeting is going to be on February 25th at 5 p.m. in this room. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, otherwise known as LTAC, Councilmember Assefa Dawson.
Nothing to report on. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Regional Committees report, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. AWC has something called podcasts, and they just did one on city finances. It is 17 minutes and 40 seconds. I listened to it the other day, and it's pretty interesting. It talks about how cities get money, how they, the impacts of not having enough money, and potentially how they can raise more money. So if you're interested, you can go to the AWC page and you can see what they have. But this is was done by Sheila Gall, who is AWC General Counsel. And there's a lot of discussion on the 1% property tax cap and tools available that can help city government. They also have a legislative bulletin that comes out twice a week, and it's pretty interesting. It has all of the bills that impact cities and the status of those bills. The city action calls, once again, are on Friday at 12:30. The lobbyists, AWC lobbyists, are all on to talk about the bills. You do need to pre-register before you can get on those calls, but they're every Friday at 12:30. And MRSC has a free webinar on 2/25, which from 11 to 12. which provides an overview of tools and resources that they have. MRSC is one of the best resources for city council members. You can ask them any question. They will research information for you. Truly a good resource. And if you are interested in looking up anything, they do have a way that you could look things up and instead of having to ask the question, but they're always open to questions. In fact, one of my neighbors is now an attorney for MRSC. And the PIC meeting this month is Wednesday, February 12th from 7 to 8:30 on Zoom. And it is going to be on orientation if you were appointed to any SCA committees. So they encourage anyone to attend. And I would also like to thank Public Works for the work that they have done these past several days to keep our streets safe and free of ice and snow. And I know that they're going to be out there again because this weather is not going away. So thank you, EJ, if you could let your staff know.
Yeah, and thank you, EJ. Thank you and your team as well. It just really, and we've been receiving regularly updates and previews of what's going on and all the people that have to go on standby and all the brining that's been done and so it's really we're in good shape. We're in great shape thanks to your folks. So thank you. Okay, Council President report.
Thank you, Mayor. So at our last meeting, we talked a little bit about the day center and the problems we have with keeping it clean and nobody camping there. And they were talking about having a security guard. So I actually talked with Debbie Christensen, who's the manager of the Auburn Food Bank and the Ray of Hope Shelter. And I asked her how they kept their area clean in front of their facility. And she said it was voluntary. They were told that if they did not help, they were not welcome there. And they do have a security guard, but I think it's paid in a different manner. But a lot of that is being proactive and being strong about what you want done. And so I think we need to follow through here as well. I went to see Dr. Jeanine Wolf-Richter, who has a chiropractic clinic on 320th. Very angry about her business being broken into, as most people are, that you feel violated when either your house or your business is broken into. And she showed me all of the area that had things stolen, up to $100,000 worth of goods. And so we talked about, do we hire more police? How do we handle this? And what the real issue is you need to have criminals being held responsible. I mean, if you have, generally, and I'm a risk manager, generally when you have anything going on, whether it's somebody having accidents or somebody stealing, it's generally a small percentage that's doing the majority of what's going on. But they have to be put in jail. They have to have some kind of punishment for what they can't just say, oh, they're never going to find me. I can get away with this. We can't have that. So when Councilmember Honda and I go to AWC, the Association for Washington Cities Day in Olympia on February 19th and 20th, we will be talking about what's going on. We will be talking about your priorities, our priorities, and we will be talking about how to hold criminals responsible. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our children, that parents have the right to know about what happens to our children. So then when we go to, now this is going to be interesting, so if you're watching what we're doing, keep pace with us, because when we go to Washington, that's in February, and that's February 19th. And then we're having our retreat February 22nd. And that's where we're going to be talking about the future of Federal. And then after that, a number of us will be going to Washington, D.C. Now, this is going to be very interesting. Mid-March, March 14th. Because the whole administration in Washington, D.C. has changed. And so this is going to be kind of a total change in what's going on there. It's going to be very interesting to see who's in charge by the time we get there. And we do have a wonderful book that our executive assistant, Amy, has produced. We'll probably have it at our next meeting at the business portion of our next meeting that talks about our legislative priorities. It's very clear, and it talks about the things where we've been, where we are, and where we want to go. And so stick with us and keep hearing what we have to say, and then back us up, because what you do helps us be better at our jobs. I heard on the news that where I lived in Portland, Oregon, I mean, I'm talking like 50 years ago, where I grew up in Portland, is now one of the worst places in the whole nation to live and have a business. And I thought, wow, if I were there, I'd be doing something, but I'm not. I'm here, and I'm doing something here. And so I'm going to make sure that where we are here, for my little portion, we're not going to become what happened to them. So thank you, Mayor, and we're going to be meeting with you then about the next legislative.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, I'll be in Olympia for City Action Days for those 2 days, and then I'll be in Washington DC as well for the National League of Cities. I do want to say a special thanks to Tanya Carter, our Economic Development Director, who's been very involved in the with our federal lobbyist and his team, Rick Agnew and Luke, and also Tanya. Thank you very much for your work crafting that legislative agenda, federal legislative agenda, with the guidance and assistance of the council. Very much. Okay, so thank you, Council President. All right, consent agenda, item 7. These items have gone through committee, can be passed all at once, or once I read them all, I'll ask whether an item would want to be pulled for separate consideration. Item A, minutes for the January 21st, 2025 special and regular meeting minutes. The item B, monthly financial report, November 2024. Item C, AP vouchers 11/16/24 through 12/15/24, and payroll vouchers 11/1/24 through 11/30/24. Item D, AP vouchers 12/17/24 through 1/15/25, and payroll vouchers 12/1/24 to 12/31/24. Item E, which will be pulled, and Councilmember Daniel noted this. Item E, Attorney General's Office Gun Violence Reduction Grant Acceptance. Item F, Pierce Transit Federal Extra Duty Police Services Agreement. In item G, authorization to acquire furnishings, fixtures, and equipment for the Joint Use Operations Facility. Other than item D, item E, which has been pulled for separate consideration, would a council member want to pull another item? Okay, hearing none, Council President Kochmar, with respect to A through D and F and G.
I move approval A through D and F through G.
Second.
Okay, it's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion about passage of those items? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matters pass unanimously. Item E, should we have, actually, Councilor McDaniel, you want to start?
Yeah, I don't have an issue with the actual agenda item. My comments or considerations are actually for the usage and how we're looking at purchasing of the gun safes. During the discussion, was it FedRAC, I believe it was? Or I can't remember which one it was now. But we had talked about this, and I believe it was a $150,000 grant, and $50,000 would be used towards gun buybacks, and $100,000 was towards the actual purchase of gun safes. My comment on that one was I wanted to know, I'm always strong for putting money back into local businesses, and I wanted to know if we were able to buy those gun safes from local businesses. And then when that was brought up, the comment was there's 3 locations we can buy back from. 2 of them we had no problem with. The third one was of question because they were the actual one paying the bill to have this grant.
Yeah.
My comment on that one is, if you've done your time and you've done your crime, then you should be allowed to participate back in the system. And if we're going to spend $100,000 on buying gun safes, I would like to see that money spent on the local businesses. And I didn't know if there was a procedure or requirement for going out for this kind of thing, or if we could just say that, yeah, we want to buy them from local businesses and not exclude anybody.
It's a good question. Chief?
I'm not sure of all the work that went into this, but we're looking for a particular type of safe. We received a $150,000 grant from the Attorney General's office for purchase of gun safes and also for gun buyback event. So we are going to spend $100,000 buying gun safes and allocate $50,000 for the gun buyback. I can certainly look into it more and give more weight, consideration to a local business. One of the things, when we did the gun buyback, the state was, this is state money, and they didn't want to restrict it just to Federal Way in terms of gun buyback. That was one of the conditions, so, but in terms of purchase, sure, if it's council policy direction, we'll certainly give Federal Way Guns an opportunity to bid on this particular type. What we don't want is, we've done this before where the King County gave away gun safes, but they were like combo types, and they weren't really that popular. So the ones we're gonna get are electronic punch code, so you can access it quickly. We also looked at biometrics, but the cost was gonna get close to, $200 a piece. So we're gonna go with punch code, electronic. It'll be very nice quality. I think they'll be in high demand, and it will be, first come, first served. We'll market it, we'll promote it. And also, the safe giveaway is going to cost us less in terms of the operation. It will not be as staff-intensive as gun buyback, because we have guns involved, and it's quite an operation. So we're going to do one operation for that. Safe giveaway, we could probably do it, a couple of times with minimum staffing. And then if there's not that much interest, and then it'll just be first come, first serve in the police lobby. But Councilmember McDaniel, if that's not a concern for council, we will certainly, I'll give that direction to our people to give buying the safe within our city a priority.
And nothing needs to be added to the motion then?
I think so, no.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was it.
Would you like
That's all
to
I
make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make, I move to approve consent agenda E.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you. All right, and now we're on to item 8, public hearing. This is assessment lien for abatement at the address of 319 Southwest 372nd Street. I'll now open the public hearing. We'll have a presentation from Curtis Richards, Code Compliance Officer. Curtis?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, and all others present. My name is Curtis Richards, and I'm a Code Compliance Officer here in the City of Federal Way. I'm here to request the assessment lien be placed on the Tangi property here in the City of Federal Way. Per FWRC 115-0804, should City Council approve staff to place an assessment lien on the property located at 319 Southwest 372nd Street, Federal Way, in the amount of $4,955.12. The background on this property is it has a long history of documented code violations dating back to 2013. The abatement occurred on July 29th, 2024, and the total cost for that was $4,955.12. Here are a few pictures of the property before the abatement was completed. This was after the abatement was done.
Curtis, was there a fire there? What was going on there?
Yeah, that was a mobile home that had burned down.
Okay.
The abatement was completed by Leyland Construction LLC. They billed $4,496.48 for 4 workers for 8 hours with the dump fees. There was $458.64 in Washington State sales tax for the total of $4,955.12. There's 3 options to consider on this. First, we could approve the proposed assessment lien on the Tangi property in the amount of $4,955.12. The second option would be to revise the amount and approve placement of the assessment lien on the property. And the third option would be to not approve the proposed assessment lien on the Tangi property and provide direction to the staff.
Okay. Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. Thank you for the work you've done on this. I know this isn't necessarily a pleasant job to do, and it's also not very safe. You never know what you're going to encounter when you go out to these properties. How do we make sure that this property, now that it's clean, remains clean?
That is always the difficult part of this job. Unfortunately, with it being, private property, we only have so much we can do if the owner decides they do want to continue to dump on it or do something else. But at this point, the owner is not present, and we have not been able to reach them, so they are not there.
We normally proactively search throughout the area, and it's more city-driven now in code compliance.
I understand that. So if we notice that more junk is being dumped there, there's more activity, will the city just go in and clean up instead of waiting for it to get to the point where it's super bad?
We have to follow certain rules and procedures, which is why I'm here. We'd have to then complete another abatement process, which would result in placing another lien. So we'd have to start with a notice and order violation in order to correct first.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Councilor Adobe?
Yeah, a question I have is, you said that this was a trailer that burned, and it was just left the way it was?
That is correct.
And so we cleaned it up. But if people, it would be a whole different thing that would happen if people are dumping on a piece of property. I mean, it still may get a bunch of trash, but it wouldn't be the same type of need for an abatement. It would be a different, I mean, right now it's a vacant piece of property that's been cleaned up. And so if it had to be done again, it's because neighbors or people have turned it into a dump site?
That would be the most likely outcome, yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you. Stay close, just in case there's any questions. Curtis, do we have any public comment on this?
I have no one signed up, Mayor.
All right. Councilor Adobe, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
There's been a motion, a second, to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the hearing is officially closed. Councilor Adobe.
Yeah, I move to approval of the proposed assessment lien at 319 South 372nd Street in the amount of $4,955.12.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. All right. And now we are on to item B, assessment lien for abatement at 2647 South Star Lake Road. I will now open the public hearing, and Curtis Richards, again, Code Compliance Officer, will give a presentation.
Thank you. The policy question on this, again, is per FWRC 11150804. Should City Council approve staff to place an assessment lien on the property located at 2647 South Star Lake Road, Federal Way, in the amount of $32,251.54. This property also has a long history of documented code violations dating back to 2008. The abatement process on this property began July 24th, 2024, and was completed August 23rd, 2024, and the total cost for that was $32,251.54. These pictures were taken the morning that we started the abatement on the property. And this is what it looked like after we were done.
Great job, Curtis.
There was a little bit more cost involved on this one compared to the last one. We utilized Biodecon Solutions, LLC, to complete this abatement. They charged $5,605 for biohazard labor. They had $7,967 in dump fees. They had $876 in supplies. They had $100 for sharps disposal. They had $3,294 for equipment rental. They had $670 for the junk car removal. They had $195 in hazardous waste disposal. There was $4,759 for the installation of the gate and the ecology blocks to try to secure the property. There was a $4,305 change order due to the additional amount of dumping that occurred between when the bid went out and when the abatement was completed. There was $2,832.64 in sales tax, for a total bill from Biodecon Solutions for $30,603.64. There was an additional $1,647.90 in fees on this to cover administrative and personnel costs. Bring it to the grand total of $32,251.54. There's three options to consider on this one. There's to approve the proposed assessment lien on the Aoyang property in the amount of $32,251.54. We could revise the amount and approve placement of an assessment lien on the property, or we could not approve the proposed assessment lien on the Aoyang property and provide direction to the staff.
All right, thank you very much. Council, do we have any questions of Curtis? Councilmember McDaniel?
Yeah, could you go back to the breakdown, please?
Yeah.
Now, this one's a lot bigger, obviously a lot more stuff was having to be removed. When we reached out to this landowner, did we get any response from him?
We did not. I called every phone number I could find for him. I sent out letters. I sent the certified letters. I reached out and I sent a letter to the guy's father, and I never heard anything back.
Gotcha. My concern on this one is we installed a gate and a bunch of blocks on property that we don't own, and I'm just curious if that's a normal process for us, or what was how does that legally go about?
That was part of the notice and order of violation order to correct, was to secure their property, and they did not do so. So that is why we did that.
Okay, so when we put a notice that you have to secure it, if they don't, that's something we can add on when we do the abatement then?
It was, yes, included on this one.
Okay, and then consider this as abatement, so when they go to sell the property, is that pretty much when it's a guaranteed payoff then?
At this point, once council approves the lien, if they do, it'll get added onto the King County property taxes and be treated the same as that.
Got you. Is there any interest that gets applied to this that you know of?
Yes, the same as the taxes if they're due.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
Yep, great.
I have a question.
Oh, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I've driven by this property numerous times over the last couple of years, and so this was a pretty large bill, over $32,000. What is the property valued at?
I'm not entirely sure what the bare ground is valued at on this property.
And what is the condition of the property now? It's rather large, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's multiple acres.
What's the condition now?
There has been some more dumping that has started to take place along the road onto the property and along the easement. Hasn't gotten as bad as it was in the pictures, but it has unfortunately started again on that property.
And what can we do to correct that?
As soon as I complete this lien process, I'll open up another case and start the process all over again and try to get it done quicker so it doesn't get as large.
Okay, thank you.
Do you think the blocks that we have are sufficient, or could we, rig this in such a way in which this can't keep getting as like it was before?
The issue we run into is there's an easement through the property for Highline Water District, so we can't just completely block it off. They have to have access, and due to that, unfortunately, everyone else gets access through it.
All right, well, because of the propensity, maybe we need to talk about a camera at this location. If people are
Blue
dumping this regularly. EJ, any thoughts on that?
We have mobile cameras.
Yeah, if we could do that. We can also facilitate reaching out to Highline and seeing if there's a possibility of closing it and giving them a key.
That's a good idea.
It has been closed, and they just cut the lock and stole it, actually.
Yeah. We can work with Highline to secure it.
Let's do that. Curtis, will you let Keith know, and then make sure that, would you coordinate with this, and let's make that connection. Good questions, Council.
I wanted to follow up. I was wondering, I was going to ask about the camera, if we could put one of our blue light camera specials down there or something, or find a spot that might be close enough to get license plates.
Yeah, I think that those, I was thinking the blue lights are probably more like in a parking lot. I think what we need is, what I'm looking for, make and model. This actually may be more like a, what do you call those flock cameras? But EJ, you're
We work with police department on a couple other temporary cameras that might be suited for this location.
We'll probably need a pole to install a camera pole at that location. We're going to want license plate, make, and model. That's the great benefit of these flock cameras, as you know, that they've got the make and model if we can't get a plate. I would imagine maybe, how's the lighting at this place, Curtis?
Unfortunately, the lighting's not great.
We'll have to fix that. We'll get to the bottom of that. Well, if this is an ongoing situation, this has been going on for a long time. Let's work on this and work with Thomas as well to get a poll cam and the chief. What's that, council member?
Can we put cameras on property we don't own?
Well, in the nearby, I'm sure it's all about angle. It probably wouldn't be on that property. It would probably be right of way in that immediate area. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's either light poles or, Council President?
Can't you say this property is under surveillance?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Curtis, EJ, maybe let's, but I'm a big believer in making sure that that's actually the case before we do it. Why don't we, let's get some lighting, get cameras, and then we'll say, smile, you're on candid camera. Okay, or not. I mean, sometime, maybe if we really want to find out who's doing it, maybe it's, anyway. We'll figure it out. So more work to be done on that. No public comment?
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Can I?
Yes, of course.
So you made the comment that you tried to get hold of this landowner and no response. So do they even know?
That's correct.
Do they even know that we abated this and cleaned it up?
We've followed all the proper notification procedures.
Questioning, but there's been no response.
That is correct.
And so this bill, it gets assessed to the property, and you made the comment that it's going to show up on their tax bill?
That is correct, yes.
And that might wake them up. Are they paying their taxes, do we know?
I believe the taxes were current on this one.
Okay. So that's probably going to wake them up, but since they didn't know we did it, and they don't know they have this bill, and if you go on the tax bill and somebody doesn't pay their taxes, they accrue interest and penalties. Are they going to accrue interest and penalties on this amount?
Yes, they would. It'd be the same as any property taxes that didn't get paid.
But in the past, when we do this type of abatement, we stick it on the property and get paid, I believe, and we get paid back when it sells or
That's right.
something. It seems like putting it on their tax bill and charging interest and penalties, and they don't even know about it, seems different than the way we've always done it in the past, as I remember.
Let's ask, let's get Ryan involved. Ryan?
No, this is pretty standard if we have an unresponsive
If what?
property. So just like suing someone that we don't know where they're at, there's certain notice requirements that we follow, and that's considered adequate to give people, a reasonable person should know, once we've gone through those steps, what's happening.
Do we usually put it on their tax bill?
Yes, every
Oh,
time.
I
That's
thought-
what the lien is.
I thought we put a lien on, but.
The lien is on the tax bill, that's what the
Yeah,
lien is for.
but they're not, I didn't believe that they get their tax bill and now it's instead of 10,000, it's 42,000.
Well,
Or what, I'm just making up
it's
a number.
listed as an obligation on there, and so I'm not sure how long King County gives them to pay that.
Quick about getting it put on there. I know the last one was just a matter of days by the time they got it on the tax roll.
The question is, how long do they get before they're in arrears? So I'll have to look into that. I believe it's a few years.
Yeah, it just seemed to me, and maybe I'm not remembering this right, but we've gone in yards and cleaned them up, and then we've abated or we've paid for it, and there's always been that we get paid back when the property sells, and
Yeah.
I don't remember it going on the taxes and that penalty. So that's why I'm.
And that is how the lien is recorded. So
Okay.
generally, if you're current on your taxes, this lien would just.
Okay,
sit there.
so all the abatements we've done over the years have always gone on somebody's tax bill?
They go against the property.
I get
So
that.
As long as the tax bill's current, no, they don't necessarily go on the tax bill.
Okay, I understand it goes against the property.
Yeah.
This is the first time I ever heard it goes on
I'm agreeing with you.
their tax bill.
Yeah.
And, because I know, I gotta believe people we've abated over the years, we're still holding that lien against their property until they sell it, and we haven't,
I'm not sure that this lien is a basis for foreclosure, if that's your question.
yeah,
It might persist until they try to transfer the property.
I don't know. It just seems it doesn't track with me, that's why I'm asking the question. We've always abated, and there's a lien, but a lien it gets paid when it gets sold, it doesn't go on the tax bill.
It's recorded against the property.
It's recorded.
I'm agreeing with you, yes.
Okay, can you look into
For the
that?
second time, yeah. So I don't believe this is a basis to foreclose on the property, as long as you're current on your taxes. But
Right, but they wouldn't be current on their taxes if they have to pay an additional
You're at your
32,000.
normal taxes, yeah.
What's that?
Yes, your regular taxes, not this.
Oh, they pay their regular taxes, just it stays against the property? Okay,
All right, good questions.
thank you.
Okay. I do want to say that we've really stepped up in regard to enforcement. We've brought in a supervisor. We used to have the building, the building official be the supervisor of code enforcement. We've now brought in a separate supervisor plus 3. We've gone to a much more, instead of a complaint-driven neighbor-on-neighbor, a city-initiated process, and we're really making, strides, leaps and bounds in regard to cleaning up derelict properties in our city. So thanks for Keith and everybody you work with, Curtis. So thank you.
Thank you.
We do. All right.
Okay.
Councilmember Dovey, do you have a first motion?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. It's unanimous. The public hearing is closed. Councilmember Dovey.
Yeah, I move approval of the possessed assessment lien to 2647 South Star Lake Road to the amount of $32,251.54.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes unanimously. All right, Curtis, great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 9, council business. Item A, proposed 2025 to 2026 collective bargaining agreement with the Teamsters Local Union 763. We'll hear from Vanessa Audette, our Human Resources Director. Vanessa, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members of the public. I'm Vanessa Audette, the city's HR Director, and I'm before you tonight with the policy question: should the City Council authorize the mayor to execute the proposed collective bargaining agreement with the Teamsters Local Union Number 763 representing Parks and Public Works Maintenance? The current collective bargaining agreement expired on December 31st of 2024. We reached a 2-year tentative agreement with the bargaining unit last month in January. Teamsters members voted to ratify that tentative agreement last week, subject to council approval, and the tentative agreement conforms with the authority and instruction previously provided to the city's negotiation team. The tentative agreement fiscal impacts for 2025 include a 3.5% cost of living adjustment. It also includes a market wage adjustment for 3 classifications of the 5 in the bargaining unit. We have agreed to increase the shift change pay hourly rate from $1.75 an hour to $3 an hour, and increase the annual boot allowance from $250 a year to $350 a year. Each Teamsters member will receive a $1,000 cleanup incentive payment upon ratification in recognition of their work with the encampment cleanups around the city. The total cost of the 2025 contract is $4.5 million, an increase of approximately $469,000. For 2026, this contract includes a 3.5% cost of living adjustment across the bargaining unit, increasing the cost of the 2026 contract to $4.8 million, approximately $325,000 over the prior year. The mayor's recommendation is to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Teamsters Local Number 763. And with that, I welcome any questions.
Council, any questions? All right. Great job, Vanessa. Thank you. All right, Council President Kochmar.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. I move to approve the proposed 2025-2026 collective bargaining agreement with Teamsters Local Union Number 763 and authorize the mayor to execute said agreement.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Great job, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Okay, item B, resolution, authorization to acquire real property for conservation and future park use. Staff presentation by E.J. Walsh, Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor, Council President, members of council. As the mayor said, E.J. Walsh, Public Works Director. I'm here tonight to present a resolution to you for the authorization to acquire real property for conservation and future use. So the policy question before council is, should the council authorize the acquisition of real property for the purpose of conservation and future parks use? As background, the city became aware that the parcel on your screen was available. There's a map on a subsequent slide. We have, as a city, completed an appraisal. We've determined that the acquisition is in the public's best interest and consistent with our adopted policies. The policies are further outlined in your memo in your packet. That includes with both the city's comprehensive plan, the surface water management comprehensive plan, and the Parks Pros plan. It is proposed as a joint purchase between the Surface Water Utility Enterprise Fund and the Parks Levy Fund. So this is a map of the parcel. It's on the south side of 312th on the northwest corner of Steel Lake. And the options considered are to approve the proposed resolution, or option 2 is do not approve the proposed resolution and provide direction to staff. The mayor recommends option 1, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thanks for asking. Council, any questions of EJ? All right. Council President Kochmar, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I move approval of the proposed resolution.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Great job, EJ. Thank you. Okay, ordinances. This is item 10, ordinances, second reading and enactment. Item A, Council Bill 895, ordinance, electric vehicle code amendments. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 895, Ordinance Electric Vehicle Code Amendments, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to electric vehicles, amending Federal Way Revised Code 19-05020, 19-05050, 19-05060, 19-05180, 19-05220, 19-215030, 19-220030, 19-230040, 19-240020, and 19-240050, and adding new chapter 19-295 Federal Revised Code, including sections 19-295-010, 19-295-020, 19-295-030, and 19-295-040.
All right, Councilor Adobe?
Yeah, I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passed unanimously. Thank you. Item B, Council Bill 896, ordinance T-Mobile West LLC franchise. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 896, Ordinance T-Mobile West LLC Franchise, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington, granting T-Mobile West LLC a non-exclusive franchise to occupy rights-of-way in the City of Federal Way, Washington, within the specified franchise area for the purposes of constructing, maintaining, operating, replacing, and repairing a telecommunications network within and through the City of Federal Way.
Councilor Adobe?
Yeah, I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. Thank you. Item C, Council Bill 898, ordinance, Title 18 subdivision permit review and timelines pursuant to our Senate Bill 5290. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 898, Ordinance Title 18 Subdivisions, Permit Review and Timelines, Senate Bill 5290, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to project permit review processes and associated timelines, amending Federal Way Revised Code 18-10050, 18-15060, and 18-20050.
All right, Councilor Adobe?
I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matters passed unanimously. All right, item D, Council Bill 897, ordinance, Title 19 zoning and development code, permit review and timelines pursuant to Senate Bill 5290. Would the city clerk please read the ordinance title?
Council Bill 897, Ordinance Title 19 Zoning and Development Code Permit Review and Timelines, Senate Bill 5290, an ordinance of the City of Federal Way, Washington relating to project permit review processes and associated timelines, amending Federal Revised Code 19-15010, 19-55040, 19-60070, and 19-65100.
All right, Councilor Adobe?
Yes, I move approval of the proposed ordinance.
Second.
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Matter passes unanimously. All right, we're on to number 11, council reports. Councilmember Cephas.
I have nothing to report on. Thank you.
Councilmember, thank you. Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, real quick, I didn't know Flyguard as well as I knew John, but I'm assuming both gentlemen were good. John was a big loss in my mind to the city, and Cheryl, if you ever need anything, let me know. I'm here for you, but I like that dude. He was cool.
All right, Councilmember Honda.
Thank you very much. I want to talk about something that's coming up this Saturday. Remembrance Day is a day of remembrance. It's on February 19th, 1942, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, which authorized the military to remove and incarcerate Japanese Americans from the West Coast during World War II. Over 125,000 people were picked up and incarcerated. Included was my mother-in-law and her family. She was 10 years old, and her family was detained at the Santa Anita Racetrack Assembly Center in California, and they lived in a horse stall for about 6 months and had straw to sleep on. Her brothers, she was the oldest in her family, and her brothers were quite a bit younger. Not good memories for children. What I want to talk about, though, is this Saturday, February 8th, which just happens to be her birthday, her 92nd birthday, from 10:30 to 1 at the Puyallup Fairgrounds. There's going to be a brief program with speakers that will acknowledge the incarceration of the Japanese Americans at the Puyallup Assembly Center, which was what it was called. It was called Camp Harmony, and people that were picked up, Japanese Americans in this area, were incarcerated there for about 6 months, and most of them went to Idaho after that in a train. But they too slept in horse stalls and with straw for beds. And, we can't allow this to ever happen again. We need to be teaching it in our schools. We need to be talking about it, and we need to make sure it never happens. But if you're available on Saturday from 10:30 to 1, go down to the Puyallup Fairgrounds. It's a free program. There's free parking, and it'll be a history lesson. And just know that there are people still alive, that were impacted. And they can tell you their story, and they can tell you their memories of those times. And anyway, we need to keep talking about it so that it never happens again. We, at our special meeting at 5 o'clock, Metro King County came and talked to us about their South Link connections. They're doing a survey on proposed route changes when the link opens. And if you're interested, you can go to southlinkconnections.com. We can probably put this out on our webpage, on our Facebook page, and you can do a survey. They are talking about some pretty significant changes on bus routes here in Federal Way, and they really do want your opinion. They want to know what people here in Federal Way think. So please go to southlinkconnections.com and let them know your opinion. Also on Monday, February 10th, there will be a virtual open house, and we can get you that information if you're interested to find out more information from them and let them know what you're thinking, because I am chair of the skateboard committee, which is the South King County Transportation Board, and Metro runs it. And they really do want to know the opinion of people who live here, because this is how we will get around. And we want to get people to the train station. We want people to use buses and trains. But we need to get people there. And so that's what this is all about. So if you have an opinion and you have time, please do the survey and attend the open house, which is a virtual open house, Monday, February 10th at 6 p.m. And lastly, I was appointed to the First Tier City Council Committee for National League of Cities, and also to the Federal Advocacy, Public Safety, and Crime Prevention Committee. It'll be my second year on that committee. And they're one-year appointments, and we will hold our meetings at NLC meeting in March.
Great, thank you. Councilor Tran.
I don't have any report.
Thank you. Councilor Walsh.
No report.
Councilor Dovey.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear, Mr. Mayor, that you were able to go down to Auburn and view what's happening down there. And I look forward to hearing the input and maybe how some of the things that we can do in Federal Way, or copy some other people's ideas and make them better in Federal Way. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you very much. All right, Council President?
And thanks to Councilmember Walsh, who encouraged my grandson to go volunteer at the food bank east of the freeway. You know, it's cold out there, icy, and it's very traumatic for my grandson to realize that when people are at the end of the line and the food runs out, that they start crying. So if you have extra food, please think of the food banks east of the freeway and here. Thank you.
That was a really important, thank you for saying that. Yeah, it is really cold out. Let's try to support our local food banks over at the Multi-Service Center and the Federal Way Senior Center east of the freeway, over there by Military Road and 352nd. So thank you for your work, Councilmember. All right, with that, great work, everybody. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to the public that was here. Our business here is done. We're adjourned.